This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. It's sponsored every week at this time by Independent Bank. We always talk with the people making a difference in the Cadillac area, and we have a last-minute substitution today.
We do.
We do.
And a difference maker.
Yes. You know, in the past, we have talked with Lieutenant, now Captain Greg Bock from the Cadillac Salvation Army, but his better half is here today.
That's right.
Because Greg is off doing Salvation Army things right now, making differences in lives.
He is.
And
he got called away on a mission that's very important. And so we now get to talk to Captain Liz. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
I understand there was a promotion.
Yes. So actually just this Sunday, June 9th, Greg and I both officially became captains. We were lieutenants for 5 years.
Okay.
And so at 5 years, after you do so many classes and pass them, you get promoted to captain.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We're so lucky to have a committed couple in Cadillac doing God's work. Can you tell us about the classes? I mean, this is interesting to me. It's not physics. I mean, what are the classes about?
Well, you really can take almost any classes
that
pertain to what you... I don't know. So they have a certain ones that we can take.
Okay.
Greg did several of his on preaching and leadership.
Sure.
We both took one on a biblical foundations of social justice. That was an interesting one.
Oh, wow.
And then I actually walked through the classes and got certified to be a certified life coach.
Okay.
So those were the classes that I took. Yeah.
Oh, boy, we could all use a life coach.
People nowadays, there are so many people who need a life coach. It's not even funny right now. Mm-hmm. People to just help steer them right.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
And I mean, I feel like it's something we do every day anyways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But just to be able to take the classes and learn more. And I did my specialty in marriage and family, so being able to help families and kids. And so,
oh, boy, do we need it, huh?
Yeah, so much.
We do.
We talk a lot about the Salvation Army in the wintertime, ringing the bells at Christmas with the Thanksgiving baskets and things like that. But your mission continues all year long.
Yes, definitely.
So what kind of things is the local Salvation Army doing at this time of year?
Well, we're always keeping busy.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one right now is we are continuing to be open as a community center to those who may need to utilize it. So it would be our homeless friends. Maybe if you just don't have air conditioning and you need a cool place or you need a meal. So we serve breakfast and lunch 5 days a week. And so people are coming and sometimes it's just the fellowship of it.
Right.
Coming together, and it's kind of like they created their own little family.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that. And we also have pantry every day, Monday through Friday. And our most exciting news, new to us, is that we are recently opening a satellite office in Missaukee County in Lake City.
Awesome.
So one of our full-time caseworkers is at least once a week. So those who can't make it to Cadillac, who need help with your utilities or electric or really anything that she can help with, she's there on Thursdays right now.
And what is her name and where's the office?
Ann Byard is her name. And right now we do not have a permanent place.
Okay.
We're looking for one. But she's been settling. She'll go to the library if she needs to meet with you. She will go to Lake City Thrift Store. Well, it has a place she can sit. But she's literally in the van and is like, I'll just go to help people.
So I know Julie Newman owns Lake City Thrift, and she is. I follow her on Facebook, and she is extremely community minded.
She is. Yep. Yeah. And so she's like, yep. If people want to come in and they need help. We have our diaper program, so if Ann needs to bring diapers to Lake City, she will.
So, Liz, there's a need in Lake City, and there's a need for space. So if we have a listener out there that might have an extra room or might have some space for you, how do they get a hold of you?
You can just call our office here in Cadillac, and you can talk to either Captain Greg or I, or Ann even. And Ann Byard is the full-time caseworker. And she's from Lake City, and her heart is just to reach those in Missaukee County. And so, yeah, we're looking. We know God's going to open that door, but Ann says it like this. God said, just if you wait for everything to line up, it's never going to happen, right?
We'll wait forever.
Well, amen.
Right.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
And since then, the doors have been opening for us. So it's awesome to see.
So, Liz, this is one of everything about the Salvation Army is amazing, but there's no clearinghouse with you.
Right.
Folks can come to you kind of in any state. They can come to you and say, I need this or I need that, or it isn't just we handle whatever.
Correct.
It's we handle life for you. We help you handle life.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that makes Salvation Army so near and dear to my heart, is just knowing that you guys will help anybody.
Yeah. Our biggest thing is being able to partner with other agencies and people so that we can do the best for someone. So we do have a lot of our homeless community with us daily, and our community coordinator, she does an awesome job. But like if they have an interview, she'll try to get them there, or to their medical appointments, or stuff like they need help getting a driver's license or a shower or a haircut. I mean, it's pretty much, we just want to help them to better themselves and to get out of their current situations. So
And without any guilt or shame.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody stumbles.
yeah, and so Temple Hill, they've opened up to be able to do showers. They do once a month, but if there's a time when we need to, we'll call them, or we go to the Y. That's such a huge need. She has a barber in town that she works with, so that those that need haircuts, she'll take them down on a certain day. She'll line that up and get them all haircuts. And so, yeah, it's really endless of the things that we can do. I mean, we keep saying we can't do everything, but that's why there's other agencies, there's other people out there, and we just want to make people's lives better.
Are you on the phone a lot with other agencies? If somebody comes and there's something maybe that you can't immediately address, are you on the phone with?
Oh
other
yeah,
people
we
in
work
town?
very closely with Love Inc. and
Okay.
with Friends Ministry in particular. Most recently, Friends Ministry has a barter labor program, and so Tish has been actually taking in the mornings whoever signs a contract with them. So what the barter labor is, they help in their garden. And then they're able to help them pay a bill. And so we've taken, the bus won't go out there because it's over county lines. So we will take a group out there to work, pick them up at 2:00. But they're bettering themselves, and you know, whether it's to pay for their campground or whatever it is. So
Well, and let's throw this out too. I'm familiar with Friends Ministry. They do incredible work, and they're so plugged in to the Lake City area and
Yeah.
Saukee County. So if you're going down 66 and on your left, you see that farm stand and you see that pipe sticking out of the ground, pull over and buy some green pepper and lettuce and tomatoes. Pick up the stuff for your salad that night, because that's, you know, God's work in action right there.
yep, and I think they're going to need strawberry pickers soon. That's where we're going to send some folks to go pick some strawberries. So they should be ready soon.
So Liz, can we go back to you and Greg and
Sure.
in the very beginning, you know, to meet somebody and say, we're going to make it, you know, as a couple. And here you are, you know, a life coach and family and marriage in particular as a specialty. So you take you and Greg and you meet. How did it come to be that we fell in love, but now we're going to take this on as captains?
Whew, that's a long story. No,
Good.
Greg and I, we met originally at Bible College
Okay.
in Springfield, Missouri. But it was a long road. We were best friends, and we both didn't think that we would fall for each other as best friends.
Oh, this is going good.
And so, me especially, because he's younger than I am. So I was just like, oh no, he's just a safe friend. But somewhere it was about 4.5 years. Somewhere in there, we fell in love, and we didn't really ever date. We just hung out as best friends all the time, and then just knew that we wanted to do life. We wanted to do ministry together. And so it just kind of happened.
So you met in Bible college, but was the Salvation Army something that was in your on your radar at that time, or
Never.
no? Okay.
Never. So I actually didn't even know everything that Salvation Army did, which a lot of people don't.
I think a lot of people don't. Yeah.
That's right.
It's a red kettle, it's a bell, and that's pretty much all people knew. I knew thrift stores. That's all I knew. So we moved from Alton, Illinois to Sheboygan, Michigan. And when we moved to Sheboygan, which is small town, northern Michigan, we were just driving through town, and Greg says, if I work anywhere in this town one day, I want to work at Salvation Army. That's what he said. And so then he had an interview.
How long ago was this?
We moved there in 2012.
Okay.
2012.
12 years ago.
And so he had an interview to be a part-time pantry worker. He did not get the job. And
Now he's a captain in the Salvation Army.
he did not get the job as a part-time pantry worker. And so
Swing and a miss there, folks.
So he worked many other places. He worked for Shepler's. He worked for a lawyer. He worked for Kmart. He worked for Walmart. He worked for several places in small town Sheboygan. But it was 2015, so 3 years later. The business manager at the time randomly called him and said, "Hey, I remember our interview." And if anybody who knows Greg knows his personality just shines through. And
He makes an impact on,
He
on
does.
everyone he meets. Yes.
And they remembered him, and they said, "Hey, we are looking for a transition home manager. Part-time, $9 an hour." And he's like, "Well, I can't raise a family on that." I was pastoring at the time. He was working about 3 jobs. But he felt called. He said, "This is my opportunity to work at Salvation Army." And so he started running a men's and women's transition homes. He had worked with a lawyer, so it worked out. They worked with the court systems through their court program, and the ministry just thrived. And so it was a year or 2 down the road. Their business manager was no longer there, and they kept telling him, "You need to apply to be the business manager." And he's like, "I'm not qualified for that." And they're like, "Yes, please." And so sure enough, he applied and he became the business manager for Sheboygan County. But it just was at the time I was still pastoring I was at an Assembly of God church, where my family's at, and he was doing his own ministry at Salvation Army, and we were just so far apart. And I just felt the Lord was saying that there was going to be change coming, that we were going to come together. And if you know anything about being a Salvation Army officer, you cannot do it without each other. So like if you feel called as a husband, you can't do it unless you go in as a couple. And even if you go in single, like to get married, they want you to marry another officer. And I just think that's one of the things that drew us, was we get to do this together. But I fought it for over a year and a half, 2 years. I was like, I already went to college. I don't want to do this. I don't want a career change. But slowly I started warming up to the idea, and I said yes, and it went fast from there. That was 2016, and we became soldiers, is what they call it first. And within 8 months, we did an internship and went to college, to training college. So it went fast.
And here you are.
And here we are.
And there is a lyric to a country song that says, "If you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans."
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that's a fascinating story. But in addition to that, you are generally assigned a community for a period of time. It's not a long time. You and Greg will move on at some point. So you're committing to a life. I wouldn't call it necessarily a vagabond's life. That would be moving around a little more. But the Salvation Army moves people around.
They do. And that, for me, was very difficult. Because when I married Greg, I loved about him, he has a hometown. And you can go back, he'll show you the house he grew up in and all of that.
Alton, Illinois, correct?
Correct. Yep. His whole family's from there. I, on the other hand, was in a minister's family, and I've lived in 9 or 10 states. And so when people ask me where I grew up or where I'm from, I don't know what to tell them.
Right.
And my kids, it might be a little bit the same way. They'll probably always say Michigan, though, thank goodness. So
Yeah, right.
we do love Michigan. And yeah, that part is hard. We are hoping for longevity here. I think
we are hoping for longevity.
I believe
here.
more and
The
more
two of
the
you.
Army is seeing the positive impact of people staying at assignments longer.
Great.
And so we're hoping.
Well, we had the Duskins before
Yep.
you, and the Nances before the Duskins, and the Eddies before the Nances. And are you encouraged by the Salvation Army as soon as you get your assignment and you move to your new town? I'm assuming the Salvation Army says, get involved.
Oh, yeah.
Meet everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the first week, that's what they encourage. Just you don't sit at the office. You just get to know your staff, get to know the people of the community. Greg tells everybody the first thing you want to do is become part of the chamber. So you're just part of the community world. And yeah, it's really just building relationships. A lot of it.
Are you both chamber ambassadors? Or
No, just
Greg
Greg is.
Okay.
Yep.
And that is a great way to get to know.
We balance
people.
each other out really well. Because so this honestly is my first radio interview.
Oh boy. You wouldn't know it.
Yeah, we're trying to make it easy.
Yeah, because Greg he'll get out there and he has no problem with it.
Oh, none at all.
And if anyone who knows me knows I'm in the background, I'll handle things with staff. I do the budgeting, all the reports that need done, any of the systems. So that kind of stuff is what I'm doing. Plus we have 3 kids, so that keeps me busy too.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that the first time Katie and I met Greg and we had him on the show, the moment he left, she and I looked at each other and went, wow.
Yeah.
That guy
Energy.
is on fire.
Energy.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing I said when I met him.
Blow your hair back.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about homelessness in Cadillac.
Okay.
It's become a real problem. And when I say problem, I don't mean the population is a problem. It means it's a community problem. You're right, boots on the ground with this, Liz. What should we as community members be doing? What can we be doing to support you, support those folks? I had a homeless man sound asleep outside of my office, and I left him sodas and granola bars when I left the office. I didn't know what else to do in a paper bag. And I woke up, thank you. I said, God bless, and kind of got in my car and drove away. We just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so can you guide us a little bit on what as a community we can do to support you, support those folks?
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing is feeding them anytime. If they have a vehicle, there's a lot of people who live in their vehicles.
Okay. So
So gas is an issue. And but I don't know. I think in the United States in general, it's grown. The homeless population has grown just with the economy, where the housing crisis is. But I've seen couples that they work. I could think of one couple I know that has had a job for over a year. They have income coming in, but there's just nothing available.
Right. Nothing affordable for
Right.
sure.
And to get in. And so I think just the biggest thing is treating them like they're human beings.
Right.
Because they tell us that all the time. They come to the Salvation Army because we treat them like human beings, because most people don't. I don't know that I don't know how to say it other than.
Well, it's already upsetting, and it's got to be emotional. It's got to be tough to have 2 people who are working and still not be able to afford a place to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and there's no easy fix. It's like saying, well, Cadillac has a housing problem. Yes, we do. We have no inventory. We're very limited. And the average home sale price is over $300,000 right now in an area where the median income per household's under 50.
Yeah.
The math on this is skewed.
Upside down big time.
Yeah, that's the right word to say, upside. And so, Liz, it's not a quick fix. I realize that, but what are some solutions that we as community members can be working towards?
Well, I think in general, the community has realized we need more low-income housing. I think there's 2 major ones in the work in a 5-year plan.
Okay.
But what do we do in the meantime?
Right.
It's really hard right now for even the people who live in tents and communities. They have to go to state land. They get permits. So we try to do everything legal the right way you're supposed to do. But then they have to move every 15 days. So for them to even get a permanent place, they get a permit, they can stay for 15 days, but then they have to move to another state land location in 15 more days. So a lot of times we're driving, just helping them move camps, or trying to figure out where they're going to go because they can't stay anywhere in city limits. So we're always looking for volunteer drivers, which you have to go through our, process of becoming a volunteer. Right. But Tish is driving everywhere, or we just, because she's doing pickups, and it started at just picking up at the shelter, but now she's going to different tent communities to pick them up, and some of the campgrounds. And it's just so that they're not in the heat and they have community and somewhere to a meal to eat, because if there's leftovers, she's loading all the plates up so they have dinner too, so.
Right. So question, how do people become part of the ministry in terms of, I think there are a lot of folks that would want to help with feeding people. And how do they do that? Do they get onto your website and they can just make donations that way?
Well, you can make any monetary donation through our website. Okay. We've noticed in the budget, I'm working on our new budget for the fiscal year. We started this program not realizing how much we would really spend on food. And it's not just for our feeding program, but also the food pantry numbers have skyrocketed.
Right.
And I know there's more pantries opening because the need is so great. Because the price of groceries, is 3 times what you paid 3 years ago. So I think, if you want to get involved volunteering, we have volunteer applications. You can stop in on Wright Street where we are, fill it out. We'll get you plugged in. But if you ever, so recently this weekend, we have several churches that will bring food. St. Anne's always, if they have leftovers from a big thing, they bring stuff. Presbyterian Church, Methodist Church, they all bring stuff. But this weekend there were several graduation parties.
Right.
And so I had a couple of people call, hey, can you use extra food from this? And we will never turn down extra food because we go through so much.
How does it work, Liz? How many meals do you serve? Do you serve multiple meals per day? Do you serve meals 7 days a week? Can you tell the listeners how
Monday through Friday when our office is open, we're about open 8:30 to 3. So for breakfast, it's kind of a continental breakfast. We get they're not leftovers, whatever, how restaurants get rid of. So we get the Starbucks. So we have Starbucks sandwiches when they have extras.
Surplus.
Yeah, surplus. Okay.
There you go. Nice.
So we get those, and then we'll have waffles, toast, that kind of thing. So it's kind of on their own. We don't usually make a big breakfast, but we usually do a hot lunch. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's more of like a sandwich kind of thing so that Tish can do more case management with our individuals.
Right.
But we make sure that they have a meal. And that's Monday through Friday. Now, Sunday morning, we still have church. And a lot of our members, our friends, will come and we'll figure something out. I'll go look in the fridge. My kids will make some eggs. If they're hungry, we will feed them.
How many people, and I won't pin you down to accuracy, but
Okay.
if you guessed, how many people are coming to your lunches?
We have anywhere from 30 to 50 on a daily basis.
It's a lot of people to feed.
And it's hit and miss in the summer if there's kids or, you just never know.
Mm-hmm. So ideally it would be money because then you could stock for your food pantry.
Yeah, because we still have to follow all the health department safety rules and serve safe so we can make sure that we're, not poisoning anyone with food or anything. So we have to follow all those rules. So it's usually if it's prepackaged stuff and that because we do have to cook on site.
I see.
Yep.
Okay. So with all the different needs that you're seeing, and there are so many, I don't know how you aren't overwhelmed. If money was no object and you had a donor that said, I'm going to give you a lot of money, let's say $100,000, what would you do with that?
Well, so right now we're working with our board to create a strategic plan, a 5-year plan. But I think Greg and I's heart is we're just running out of space. That is our biggest issue. Whether it's just getting a shed for now, but we have so many people. And if you saw how small our building really is, but it doesn't matter. It's like, it's home to people. They'll come. And so that whether we find a building, whether we build, that's on our radar.
Okay.
But a lot of it too will go to food. We're weekly picking up from Feeding America, doing orders. We can fill our pantry on a Tuesday when we pick up, and by Thursday the shelves are empty. That's just the reality of it.
Are you doing paper products as well, or is that?
We do have some paper products. Now, they're not readily, you have to come in and ask, say, hey, I'm interested. I need some toilet paper. I need shampoo, conditioner. We have a paper pantry, but it's not something that's like readily in our choice pantry every day. You have to come and specifically say, hey, this is a need, or I need diapers. And we have the diaper program also. So
Another way that we haven't really covered yet to support the Salvation Army ministry, and it's not monetary, but it's through the thrift store.
That's correct.
Donate and shop, right?
Yes, we are very fortunate here in Cadillac. So if you're within 200 miles of an ARC, which is Salvation Army's adult rehab centers, many people don't know that most Salvation Army thrift stores go to support the rehab centers so that people can get free rehab. However, if you're not within a certain amount of them, then the store gets to go with the local core. And so the local core here, which is us, gets to manage the thrift store here, and all of any kind of profit that we get through this thrift store goes back into the local core, into the community, and helping the people. So yes, that's definitely a huge thing.
And this is the time of year when we're talking garage sales, whether
Yes.
you're attending them or you're having them. And if you have, if the idea of getting all your stuff out of storage and pricing it and having a garage sale of your own just scares you. This is a good.
I'm
a
totally
good way.
in that boat right now.
Are you?
And I'm like, I'll just give it to the thrift store.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm telling you, and your folks are so nice. When you pull up with, in my case, a lot of stuff, they don't go, oh, it's just so much
Yeah, they're all
work.
grateful to have it.
They are so lovely.
Yeah, and I do want to say I think in the past there was some people that would turn it away, and Greg and I have really encouraged just our staff to look. This is all stuff that we can sell, give away to people. People don't know that we probably do almost $30,000 of vouchers. So our homeless community that comes in, if they need clothes, we'll write a voucher to the thrift store. They have to come in and get the voucher, but then they can go to the thrift store and they can shop. And so people don't realize that they're not just purchasing at the thrift store and donating, but that goes to those in need.
It's a lovely store. It's spotlessly clean, and the staff is so wonderful. I was in need of a sport coat for someone who didn't want a sport coat. So I go in there.
That makes it difficult.
I go in there, just please, can there be a sport coat just for this one event where a sport coat was required? And so I find this beautiful wool sport coat. Perfect. And I look at the price, I'm like, no way. The world is so casual. People don't dress, especially in Northern Michigan,
Right.
dress up for what? For why?
Yeah.
And so I get to the register, and it was a gentleman, and he said to me, well, today's your lucky day. And I said, is that right? Because I already feel really lucky. And he said, this is 50% off. I went skipping out the
Woohoo!
store. Gold buttons.
That was probably Walter. He's our manager there, and he does an awesome job.
Oh, I'm a fan of Walters. I'm a fan of the store in general. I mean, I still use crystal and deviled egg platters and things like
Yeah.
that. So I find that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also donate a lot to the store. And in fact, now my friends are asking me, where do we bring our stuff? As you know, Oasis no longer has Second
Right.
Chance. The building has been sold. And I'm always routing them to the Salvation Army. And
Awesome.
I come back again to, there is no clearance process. If you have a problem, if you're in need, of course, now Liz is a life coach, so careful, your phone's
They're
going to
be banging on my door, right?
Totally. But that's so important for
Yeah.
folks to know, like, it doesn't matter what your need is. If you guys can't fix it, and Love Inc. can't fix it, because I know there's a brotherhood, sisterhood there, but you'll find somebody.
Yeah, we try to connect people. I mean, and the churches is such a huge thing too in our area, to work with the Ministerial Alliance. And there's one church in particular that just took on one of our friends, gentlemen, and there's probably 6 or 7 in the church that just will pick them up or say, hey, do you need a shower this week? Or I'll take you to get groceries, when he gets his food card. And so it's nice that he has a team rallied around him.
Oh,
that he's not
absolutely.
alone. I think that's such a huge thing with our homeless community, is that they're not alone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate your direction to us on, like, treat these people like people.
Yeah.
We need to get that message out, don't we?
And I think there is such a false thinking that all homeless people, they don't want to work, they don't want to do that. And, a lot of homelessness, there's a lot of mental health issues. And so, we're like, hey, let me help you try to file for disability. Hey, let me help you get your medicines that you need, so that they can live a fruitful and great life. So,
Right.
yeah.
Let's get rid of the stigma and help.
Yes, They're God's people too. All
That's-
people are people.
In our last minute, Captain Liz, tell us how folks can interact with the Salvation Army locally online.
Online?
Yeah.
Well, we are pretty active on our Facebook page, so we would love for you to follow us there. You can always monetarily give on our website.
Yes, please. Write a check. Write a check.
But we also try to get out in the community as much as we can. We're going to be at the art fair, so come see us there. We just love to meet people, talk to people, especially my husband. He loves to
He
talk.
has never met someone who doesn't become an instant friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know,
so,
one of the things, Liz, I got a quick sign. I know we're running over, so forgive me, the other captain, forgive me, but there's something also special with your friendship with the Amish community.
oh yeah,
That is something quite
Yeah.
extraordinary, isn't it?
it really is. I mean, it started with Greg, but it's really become our family. And like last night, we went out as a family and had a hymn sing and played volleyball. And there's such a stigma there too.
Sure.
People are afraid, and they're people too, and so you just treat people like you treat your brother or sister, and so it's really interesting to get to know their way of life. Although I tell Greg all the time, I'm not ready to leave for the Amish community, not at all.
Yeah. He could get paid by Yoders and Tustin for being their greatest promoter.
Well, have you had their sandwiches?
I have.
mean,
They are so delicious.
he totally could, but we also live pretty close, so it makes it easy. But yeah, they're great people. They're so talented and can learn so much. They want to help us build a garden, those kind of things. They just know so much.
Hardworking.
Yes, very.
You and Greg are going on your second year here, right?
Correct.
And this is your first interview.
Yes.
I cannot believe that.
I can't either.
Even in Muscatine, or in Iowa where we were for 3 years. Yeah.
She's a natural.
Natural,
You're
for
coming
sure.
back, Liz.
Yeah,
Well,
we got to get you both back.
That's
next
because
time.
I'm a preacher. That's what we do.
That's
true.
right.
Yeah.
There you
True.
go.
That's true. Captain Liz Bock from the Cadillac Salvation Army, our guest. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you for having me. I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate you being on. And Katie, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for everything that the Salvation Army and your team is doing for our community.
Thank you very much.
Next week, more local chat here, sponsored by Independent Bank. It's Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY.